with him this time. We're so thankful. She is also a physician as well. And we're so grateful to have them come up here to Alaska from Tennessee. They're in Tennessee at this time. And so Dr. DeRose, he's a board-certified specialist in internal medicine and preventative medicine. He holds a master's in public health degree and with the emphasis in health promotion and health education. In addition to his active clinical work, Dr. DeRose is a syndicated radio host, popular lecturer, and published medical researcher. He's known internationally. He's been all kinds of different countries, but actually now he is also a pastor. He's pastoring a church in Dayton, Tennessee, just transitioned from Indiana. So we just welcome him here to talk to us about how to live more healthfully and how to reverse high blood pressure naturally. And he has wonderful resources back here on this table I hope you take advantage of. So with that, we'll welcome Dr. DeRose.
Good to be with you tonight. And it's exciting to have made the trip to Alaska. It's especially exciting to get here. We had some challenges with our flights, but we arrived yesterday and plenty of time to get adequate rest. So it's unlikely that I will fall asleep during my lecture. You try to follow my example, okay? Because you are tonight, I have to tell you, you are in the right place. You're in the right place. Now you might be saying, well, it's easy for me to say that you're in the right place because I'm giving the lecture. You're in the right place, though, because we're speaking tonight about high blood pressure. And even if you don't think that you need tonight's lecture, you really do need it. And I'm going to try to tell you why. We're going to look this evening at 7 key blood pressure messages. And then we're going to tell you what you can do to help your blood pressure. First of all, why it's so important. Because I find a lot of people, they don't realize how important this topic is. And, well, can I show you some practical evidence? Look around you. There's empty seats. Really. I mean, this place should be filled. But you know what? Instead, the hospitals and the medical centers are filled. And we'll talk about some of the conditions that they're filled with. So here's why I'm telling you this. It's not because I'm giving the lecture tonight, but internationally, anywhere you go in the world, roughly 30 to 50% of the adult population has high blood pressure. I mean, that's just staggering. Think about that globally. You say, wait a minute, really globally? Yeah, let's take a look at some of the data. This is from the World Health Organization. Just about a year ago, they were again putting the spotlight on high blood pressure, and they called it high blood pressure, no big deal. Is that what they called the seminar? High blood pressure what? High stakes. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But first of all, the prevalence, just how common high blood pressure is. Let's take a look. Like I said, 30 to 50% of the adult population on planet Earth, and that's even using some of the older, more lenient blood pressure standards. By lenient, today we wouldn't pat most people on the back if their blood pressure was 140 over 90, but we're going to still say, even if you considered that a normal blood pressure, and it's way too high, if you did, there's still 1.4 billion people on planet Earth who have blood pressure in that range. I mean, it's just staggering numbers. And it's true when you look at the ABC countries. Why do I call these the ABC countries? Yeah, the names start with A, B, or C. Albania, Austria, Belarus, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Canada. You say, you know, these are all kind of European or other Western nations. I mean, what about the rest of the world? But I don't know if you can see the fine print, but what you see where those bars are going up to, they're going up to between 30 and 50%. You can see for Bosnia, even a little bit over 50%. But what about some of the other countries? How about if you go to South America and to Chile, or to Asia, to China? If you go to Africa, Congo, and you start walking through this list, it doesn't matter whether it's Denmark or France or Germany, you're looking at what percentage of the world population with high blood pressure? That's right, 40 to 50, we say 30 to 50, but you're right, for most of them it's in that range of 40 to 50%, most of the countries. It's true in Ghana. If you don't know where that is, that's West Africa. It's true in Inter-America and Guatemala. It's true in India. It's true in Israel. And it's true in Italy. You could go through the whole alphabet, every country that I've seen data on, what percentage of the adult population has high blood pressure? 30 to 50%. You've got it. Is it true here in the U.S.? It is. We might look a little bit better than places like the Ukraine. You say, boy, today you can understand why they have high blood pressure. But this is data before that recent war with Russia. You understand my point. High blood pressure is extremely common. What's even more staggering is that roughly 50% of the adults with high blood pressure on planet Earth are totally oblivious to the fact that their blood pressure is elevated. Do any of you know the nickname that we have for high blood pressure in medical circles? That's right, the silent killer. You have absolutely no idea that you have the condition, but you've got it. And we'll talk in a moment about what it's doing. But before we go there, some of you are saying, but hey, I'm only here tonight to support my significant other. Or I'm only here tonight because they said they needed help with the lights, or they were feeling bad that Dr. DeRose came all the way from Tennessee and there were empty seats. Said, please come, hurry in. Here's the message. If you don't have high blood pressure today, it's likely waiting for you down the road. No, this is shocking data. In fact, until 10 years ago, I could with a straight face stand before any audience and say there are basically only two groups of people. One group are those who have high blood pressure right now. What would be the second group? That's right, those who are going to get it later. I said until 10 years ago, I could say that with a straight face. But now, if I'm going to be honest, I have to say there is a third group of people. What major development happened 10 years ago that changed that whole equation? Now what is the third group as a result of a monumental event that happened in 2016? Any of you know? Not COVID, it was before COVID. No, it has nothing to do with diabetes. The answer, the correct answer, is a monumental book was written called 30 Days to Natural Blood Pressure Control. Some of you are laughing because you think you know the author, David DeRose. Do any of you know who that is? If you didn't catch it, that's me, okay? So this book, for many years, actually was one of the top-selling blood pressure books on Amazon. But after 10 years, it still sells a lot of books. We don't come on book tours to get rid of books. Actually, we don't even keep these in stock because we've actually sold out of all of them, so we have to have them specially printed and shipped whenever we do an event. But 10 years ago, we came out with this book. So now we can say there's three groups of people. Those who have high blood pressure, those who are going to get it, and now what's the third group? That's right, those who read the book and put it into practice, okay? Now you think I'm joking, but you might even meet someone tonight who actually did that and controlled their blood pressure. Just stay tuned, okay? We'll see how things play out this evening. But let's look at the data. Why we say if you don't have high blood pressure today, it's likely waiting for you down the road. This is looking at the likelihood of having high blood pressure based on your age in the United States. What I want you to notice is once we get into our 60s, our age is roughly the percentage of our age cohort. That means the people our age that have high blood pressure. Let me see if I'm explaining myself correctly. So let's say you're 65 years of age. What is the likelihood that you have high blood pressure? You got it, 65%. Let's say you're 78 years of age. What is the likelihood that you have high blood pressure? 78%. You've got it. How about if you, like my wife's mother, lived to 103? What's the likelihood if you're 103 that you have high blood pressure? What percentage? Yeah, it's not 103%. It can't be, right? It actually maxes out somewhere around 90%. But I want you to see this is global data now, not just U.S. data. It's the same relationship. As you get up into the 60s and the 70s, you see what happens. Look at this is the world population. We're talking about people in high-income countries, low-income countries, middle-income countries. It's similar, around 60% or better, people in their 60s, in their 70s, around 70% or better with high blood pressure. And like I said, that figure maxes out around 90%. So if you live a normal lifespan and live like the typical American or German or Congolese or Chinese, you getting the picture? You are likely to have high blood pressure before you close your eyes at the end of your life. Well, who cares? Like I said, it's silent high blood pressure for many people. But it's a silent what? Killer. What do people die from if they have high blood pressure? You're right. You're seeing some of them right up there. You see stroke on the list. You see heart attack, a leading contributor to heart attack. Some of you know, in fact, a number of you have told me, you listen to my radio show. We have a syndicated radio show that airs here in Wasilla. Anyone remember the name? It's a long name. Do any of you know the name of the radio show I host? What is it? That's right. Yes, American Indian and Alaska Native Living. For nearly 25 years, I've had the privilege of working with First Nation peoples throughout our country and beyond, and we host a weekly show. It's a health show that is, sometimes we have Native experts and Native themes, but we found that, Native Americans have the same health conditions. Native Alaskans have the same health conditions that other people of races have. So we do diabetes programs and high blood pressure programs on the show. Anyway, I'm telling you about that because I've spoken for a lot of Native groups. And some years ago, I was invited to speak to a group of Native health professionals in Northern California. And while I was there, I was talking with them about high blood pressure. And I was sharing with them how in Indian country, they're doing a lot with diabetes. They're making a lot of progress with diabetes among First Nation peoples. But I said, I'm disturbed because I don't really hear much happening about high blood pressure. And one of the Native health workers said, Dr. DeRose, it's amazing that you're telling me this story right now because I just got out of the home of one of our tribal members, and they're in disbelief. I said, what's going on? They said, this person had just gone to the nephrologist. Do any of you know what nephrologists deal with? That's right, they deal with the kidneys. And the nephrologist, the kidney specialist, had just told this individual, get ready because you are going on dialysis. He said, what? He said, I can't be going on dialysis. I don't have diabetes. Everyone he knew that was on dialysis had what? Diabetes. He did not have diabetes. Would any of you like to guess what he had? And if you didn't have high blood pressure, that raised it a little bit, right? That's right. He had high blood pressure, uncontrolled high blood pressure, and it wasn't because he was around books that were continually falling. It was because he just had high blood pressure, and it wasn't controlled, and how did he feel? Perfectly fine, because high blood pressure is the silent killer. Some of you may not realize a leading risk factor for dementia is none other than what? Yeah, so you may dodge the bullet. You may say, Dad had high blood pressure his whole life. Never had a heart attack, never had a stroke. Well, how did he do? Well, when he was in his 70s, he started getting confused. He lived to be 90, but this is not my dad, I'm just telling you, someone's dad, they were demented because of their uncontrolled high blood pressure. Men don't realize it, but even prostate problems are related to high blood pressure. You can see there are heart failures on the list, glaucoma, a major cause of blindness related to high blood pressure. How many of you knew that aneurysms, ballooning of the arteries, related to high blood pressure? You hear recently about Senator Lindsey Graham? How did he die? From an aneurysm. Now, I don't know all about his medical history, but leading risk factor for aneurysms. If you have your aorta start ballooning out, if it gets more than a couple inches in size, there's a very high likelihood it's going to rupture. Do you know what your likelihood of surviving a rupture of the aorta is? Would you like to come up with a percentage for me? Yeah, you might think it was 0, but believe it or not, there's about 10% of people that survive. Okay? Yeah, I knew a guy once who had his aorta rupture. Fortunately, for some reason, he was in the hospital parking lot. Okay? That's definitely the place you want to do it. Even better if you're in the hospital on the ward or something, visiting someone. That's another good reason to visit people in the hospital. Okay? Anyway, just something to think about. Okay, hopefully you're getting the message tonight. If you're interested in your community, if you're interested in your own health, here we are in a church. Churches tell me they're interested in ministering and helping people. So if you're interested in helping people, what should you be doing? You should be doing just what this church is doing. Do something about high blood pressure. If nothing else, invite a speaker in to talk about high blood pressure. So if you're a member of this church, I commend you for taking the initiative and inviting us to come out and share this material with you. Okay, let's start getting to some of the good news. So we've been talking about all this glum stuff, like so many people with high blood pressure, over 1 billion. We've talked about the fact that if you don't have high blood pressure today, it's likely to come knocking on your door tomorrow. We've talked about all the problems with high blood pressure. Now we want to start moving into the good news, and that is that treating your blood pressure, just getting your numbers down, does amazing things. And it doesn't matter whether you're younger or older. Be very mindful of my terminology, younger or older, okay? Because this is looking at people in the prime of life, 60 years of age. I don't know why, the prime of life continues to change from my perspective. I'm not quite sure what it is. But anyway, you can see there, individuals younger than 60, they drop their likelihood of dying from a stroke just by getting their blood pressure under control. And this is true whether it's with medication or whether it's naturally. And we're going to especially talk about natural therapies this evening. But what about older individuals? Some people say, oh, well, if you hit a certain age, what's the point? No. Regardless of your age, you dramatically lower your risk of having a stroke, and we could show similar data for heart attacks and for glaucoma and kidney failure. So what's the message? That's right, get your blood pressure under control. Okay? Now, key message number 5. Now this is an interesting one. And here's how I express it. Confusion about blood pressure guidelines has primed lay people and professionals alike for messages about non-drug treatment. You say, why would confusion about blood pressure guidelines be paving the way to talk about natural strategies for high blood pressure? I'll explain it to you in just a moment. First of all, let me ask you a question. What really is a normal blood pressure or an optimal blood pressure? Okay, someone's saying less than 120 over 70. Well, here's something interesting. The answer depends. It depends, first of all, if you are not on high blood pressure medications. The message is, well, the lower the better. At least down to 110 systolic, we know is better than 120 systolic. Let me show you some of the data. This data has been out for many years. It comes from a study called the Mr. Fit study, a large study here in the United States back in the 1980s. And what they did is they took a large segment of the male population. Back then they seemed to do a lot more studies on men than they did on women. And thought heart disease, is mainly a man's disease. But anyway, they take these men, they divide them into 10% segments, okay? So this first segment there to the left, those are going to be the guys with the best blood pressures. Their blood pressures were 111 or lower. So less than 112, that means 111 or lower. Then you look at the next group. They run between 112 and 117. The group after that between 118 and 120. Do you see how it works? Now, that group, that third decile, that third 10% slice, what that is showing you, might be difficult to read the graph, what it's showing you, this is the risk of death from heart disease. It's showing you as you go from a blood pressure of 111 to 118, you're increasing your risk of dying from a heart event by 30%. That is significant, okay? That's a huge number. You might hear a study, they might publish, they say, oh, this increased the risk of this condition 20% or 15%. This is a 30% increase. That's quite a large increase in epidemiologic studies, and it's highly significant. And so the point is, if you're not on blood pressure medication and you're otherwise healthy, lower is better. You say, well, wait a minute, Dr. DeRose, I was just visiting, Uncle Joe there in the intensive care unit, and they said he's in shock. His blood pressure is 60 over 30. No, he's on death's door, okay? I'm talking about healthy people walking around. I see them walking in my office, especially healthy young people. And their blood pressure might be 95 over 50. That's perfectly fine, okay? As long as you don't have any problems, okay? If you're in heart failure, that's a different story. Now, I told you this equation changes when you go on medications. And this is a very interesting study published some years ago. They pooled data from two of the best tolerated classes of blood pressure medications. And they looked at what happens as you treat blood pressure with medications. It's very interesting. So we're going to read this graphic from the right to the left. What blood pressure do you see represented on the right? Yeah, 161. Do you see that there? Systolic blood pressure of 161. And, I don't know, does this let me show you anything? Can you see I'm hovering around 161? Is that showing there? No, seeing nothing. Okay. Anyway, so 161 on the far right. And what I want you to notice as you treat, this is looking at what happens when you treat that blood pressure, systolic blood pressure, that's the upper number of 161, when you treat it with medication, and you go down to 149. This is looking, it's a graphic, just 4.5 years of time, looking at the risk of significant cardiovascular events. If you read the fine print, it's either dying from a heart attack or stroke, or having a heart, stroke, or hospitalization for heart failure. And I want you to see, as you get that blood pressure down, you go from about 1 chance in 4, nearly 25% risk of having an event in 4 or 5 years. How many of you think that's pretty bad odds? That's pretty bad, right? 1 in 4 in 4 or 5 years? But if you take a medication to control it, it comes down to 15%. So it's down like 1 in 7. You take more medication, you get your blood pressure down to 133. Take a little bit more medication, get your blood pressure down to 130, you're down to 10%. That's a whole lot better odds than 25%, isn't it? But what happens if you say, listen, I'm on a roll, Dr. DeRose, I'm going to take more medicine, I'm going to get my blood pressure, you said an ideal was down around 110, I'm going to get it down to around 110. What happened in the research? The risk of events went up. Now, why would that be? Well, one reason is that every medication has side effects, okay? And some of those side effects can lead to an earlier demise or other problems. So the point is, this research, when you realize, when someone says, what's an optimal blood pressure? When you say it depends whether you're on medications or not, it starts getting into this dialogue of the best way to control your blood pressure is not with medications. It's with what? It's with lifestyle and natural therapies, because they don't have that problem. You just look at people living naturally, the lower their blood pressure, the better. But once you start giving them, now, again, though, don't miss the point. True story. Some years ago, not a patient of mine, social acquaintance. Both my wife and I knew this woman. She came to me, she said, Dr. DeRose, my blood pressure is running really high. I said, well, how high is it running? 180 over 110. I said, 180. I mean, you need to get, I said, have you seen a doctor? Yeah, the doctor gave me a prescription. Well, are you taking the prescription? No, I don't like medications. And I know I can control it naturally. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, when I do everything right, I'm eating right and exercise, I'm making these juices. She said, my blood pressure's down to 130 over 80. And I said, well, how often do you see that? Well, maybe once or twice a month, okay? I said, if you have to take the medicine now, and as you improve your lifestyle, you can come off the medicine. But she didn't want to do that. You know what we heard sometime later? She had a massive stroke. Massive stroke. And now some people recover significantly from their strokes, but many don't, and she didn't. And she did die not long after that. I mean, to me, that's tragic, okay? So the message tonight isn't throw away your blood pressure medicines and do it all naturally, okay? Are we on the same page? Or the message is that if you're walking around with your blood pressure 200 over 120, don't say, no big deal, because I heard about this program. No, get your blood pressure under control. Start implementing the natural things. Work with the doctor that's prescribing your medication. And believe me, doctors don't want you passing out from low blood pressure. Doctors usually are pretty responsive. If your blood pressure's improving, they're going to help you get off your medications. Okay, let's give you a couple more key messages, and then we're going to spend the rest of our time talking about what you can do to control your blood pressure. Key message number 6, concern for medication costs, availability, and side effects is further fueling interest in non-drug therapies. And let me tell you why I tell you that. If you look, what I told you, 46% of people worldwide who have high blood pressure don't even know it, then look at this. Those who are having high blood pressure, less than half of them are diagnosed and even treated then. So now we're looking at another thing. 46% don't know they have high blood pressure. Now we're up to 58% or 40. So 58%, if you're following along with me, look at that. We're talking about diagnosed and treated. 58% either don't know they have high blood pressure or know it and are not getting treated. Not getting treated at all. Even if they're getting treated, only 21% have their blood pressure under control. This is like astounding to me. Okay? Astounding. Look at how the researchers put it. Simple, affordable, effective treatments for just 50% of those with high blood pressure would save 76 million deaths by 2050. We're looking at the global burden of suffering from high blood pressure. I mean, I can't comprehend that. 76 million people at the current rate are going to die from high blood pressure over the next 24 years who did not need to die. How many people live in Alaska? Do you have any idea? Okay, we'll make the math easy. 750,000. 76 million is 100 times the population of Alaska. How do you fathom that? It would save $100 billion in healthcare costs. Annually, that's right, every year. Okay, what's the problem? Another true story. Some years ago, she came into my office, another woman. She had heard I was working in a clinic where we specialized in natural therapies. 8 months before, we'll call her Jane, she had gone to see her physician for some routine issue. I don't know whether it was a sore throat or a pre-employment exam. I don't know what it was, but she had no major medical problems. But during that visit, the doctor took something out of his drawer. It looked like a piece of material. It had some Velcro on it. It had like a rubber tube attached to it. And at the end of that rubber tube, there was like a ball. And he put that piece of cloth on her arm and started squeezing this ball. What was going on? Yeah, he was checking her blood pressure. And you know what he found? She had high blood pressure. Before she walked out of that office, she had something in her hand. What do you think it was? That's exactly right, a prescription. And being a good patient, what did she do with that prescription? Exactly. She went and got it filled. And being a really good patient, not only did she fill the prescription, what did she start doing with it? She started taking it. She's not going to be one of those statistics, right? After a very, very short while, she started having side effects from the blood pressure medicine. By the way, if I didn't mention it, other than the routine thing, she went into the doctor's office, she felt fine before. Now she's on a blood pressure medication and she's feeling unfine. Is there such a word? Okay, that's how she's feeling, whether it's a word or not. And so what does she do? She's a good patient. She's not going to just stop her medicine. She calls the doctor. Speaker can talk now? Okay. I didn't want to blow out the system. I picked up on those cues from Tyler. Thank you, guys. It really is a team effort. Second medicine. Like to guess what happened? More side effects. By the time she saw me 8 months later, she had been on 6 different medications, every one of them having side effects. Now, I am happy to be able to tell you that we were able to help her embrace some natural therapies. She was able to get off all her medicines. And even after I left that practice, some years later, I contacted her, found her blood pressure was still normal. Okay, yes, something definitely to be thankful for. Here's the question. Why are people doing so poorly with controlling their blood pressure, even in places like the United States? I'd like to suggest to you it has to do with what we were just speaking about. We want to talk about the common symptoms of blood pressure medications. Now, if I'm going to be fair, it's never fair just to talk about the side effects of drugs. You have to talk about the side effect of drugs in contrast to the adverse effects of the condition. So think about it for a minute. A lot of people are willing to take medications that have terrible side effects if they have a condition that they perceive to be worse than the side effects. Give me an example. Cancer. Perfect example, right? Someone's diagnosed with cancer. The doctor says you have 6 months to live if we don't treat this. And they say, well, is there a treatment? Yes, the treatment's 90% effective, but you're going to lose all your hair. A lot of people say, who cares about hair? I mean, Dr. DeRose looks great, and he's got none. It might affect your heart. It may affect your nerves. You say, I want to live. I don't care I don't care about the side effects, right? Okay, you got the message. So we got to be fair. So we're going to look at the side effects of common blood pressure medications, and then we're going to look at the side effects of untreated high blood pressure. So first look at the first list, and you'll see that one of the common symptoms of common blood pressure medications is frequent urination. How many of you feel like you'd like to have to go to the bathroom more often? I mean, no, I've never had a patient, really, I've never had a patient who said, Dr. DeRose, I'd like to go to the bathroom more often. But let's put it this way, in the grand scheme of things in life, I mean, could you put up with going to the bathroom a little bit more often? I mean, not a huge deal, but let's keep going down the list. Fatigue. How many of you feel so much energy that a little fatigue wouldn't hurt you? Okay, so here's an energetic lady. Okay, but I can't remember a patient, well, other than a drug-addicted patient, coming in and feeling like they had too much energy. They needed to be calmed down. Dizziness, uncontrollable cough, exercise limitations, sexual dysfunction, and depression. How many of you would have come tonight to this lecture if instead of speaking about improving your health, we said, come tonight. A doctor will come from out of town, and he's going to tell you how to be more fatigued, dizzy, coughing. You'd say, forget it, right? You don't want that kind of stuff. Can you see why people don't stick with blood pressure medications? But let's be fair. You help me now. Typical symptoms of untreated high blood pressure. Help me with the list. Same list? Fatigue? Typical, common symptoms of high blood pressure. None, okay? None. It's the silent killer, okay? Now, it's true. Some people with real high blood pressure will have a headache. But I've had people with blood pressures of 220. They have no headache. They feel fine, okay? So, you cannot depend. Oh, listen, I'm glad I went to that lecture tonight. If I ever start getting headaches, I'm going to know what to do. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. This is amazing graphic. I got to show you this. These are looking at medications that have been used for high blood pressure over the years. Now, this first column, you can see it abbreviated BBs. That stands for beta blockers. It's a class of medications. You're on a beta blocker if the generic name ends in LOL, L-O-L, like propranolol or atenolol or metoprolol. You following along with me? Okay. Carvedilol, okay? Beta blockers. Now, if you have no other problem except high blood pressure, and you're put on a beta blocker, the data suggests there's only about 1 chance in 4 that even a year later you'll still be on that medicine. Why is it? Side effects, okay? Now, if you have a rapid heart rate, if you had a previous heart attack, if you have heart failure, well, those are all different reasons why these drugs are prescribed. So it doesn't mean you should stop a beta blocker. But the point is, they used to say this is a first-line medication for high blood pressure. No longer do they say that, okay? They tell doctors, if you've got someone with high blood pressure, that's all they have, don't put them on a beta blocker first. But many thousands of people were for many years. But what I want you to see, whether you look at the water pills, the diuretics, the calcium channel blockers, the ACE inhibitors, the angiotensin receptor blockers, all these different categories, even if you look at the best tolerated medications, after a year, we're lucky if 2/3 of the patient are still taking that pill. After just a year. By the way, if you have high blood pressure and you don't change your lifestyle, how long are you going to have high blood pressure to deal with? The rest of your life, okay? Okay? So, what I like to say is the common strategy for treating high blood pressure, which is medication, often causes more stress on the patient than the condition itself. So, the question is, might there be a better way? Might there be a no-pressure solution to high blood pressure? How many of you think by no pressure, we're talking about a goal of helping you to have a blood pressure of 0/0? Do any of you know what that is called? Death. Yes, I'm not in the mortuary industry, okay? No, I'm not trying to promote early demise. We're trying to help you. We're talking about a no-pressure solution. It's not going to stress you out. You're not going to have a bunch of side effects. And so we're going to ask you to remember just 2 words tonight. The 2 words I want you to remember are no pressure. How many of you think you could walk out and say, at least I remember No pressure. You remember that? Why do I want you to remember no pressure? Yeah, we don't want you to feel pressed. We don't want you to feel stressed. But no pressure is also a mnemonic, a memory device for 10 natural strategies to control high blood pressure. Some of you, if you're perceptive, you will see 6 of them represented on banners before your eyes. Okay? Let's see if we can go through the list together. This is where we're going to spend the rest of our time tonight. We're going to talk about some different things you can do to lower your blood pressure naturally. Nutrition. What does the O stand for? Optimal choice of beverages. P is for what? Physical exercise. If you don't like the word exercise, substitute activity. Physical activity. R is for what? Rest. E, environment. S, how about the second S? U is for what? We're going to talk about some natural supplements and things you can use. Do any of you know what a pressor is? A pressor is something that raises blood pressure. And we're going to talk about refraining or avoiding pressors. Let me just give you a practical example, because we probably won't have a chance to work through all of these in detail. One of the most common blood pressure raising compounds is freely available in the drugstore. You can walk into any drugstore, any grocery store, and you can buy this medication that most people think, class of medications, they think is totally innocuous. In fact, they resort to it commonly for toothaches and headaches and all kinds of pains. We're talking about what we call non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. These would be things like Aleve, Nuprin, Advil, ibuprofen, naproxen. There's literally dozens of these medications. Some are prescription, others over the counter. If you are sensitive to them, a single dose of one of these medications can raise your blood pressure 10 points or more. Yeah, 10 to 15 points. Now, here's the next question for you. A standard dose of a standard blood pressure medication, how much does it lower your blood pressure? Yeah, on average, 8 or 10 points. Probably 8, a little bit more conservative. So you would be taking your ibuprofen for your knee pain and having to take 2 pills to control the high blood pressure, or a double dosage, or a higher dosage of medication. So one of the things we may want to talk about tonight and throughout this series of meetings, if you didn't pick up on it, tonight is the first in a series of how many meetings? 3 meetings. They're actually all different. Okay, so some of you looked at it and say, oh, I thought he was just giving the same lecture 3 times. No, tonight we're speaking about high blood pressure. Did you all pick up on that? You're doing good, you're doing good. If you didn't pick up on that, you're already showing signs of dementia. No, really. And you really got to get serious about this topic, okay? So tomorrow night, we're speaking about something that I call longevity plus. Speaking about living longer and better. It's an amazing topic. It is the medical science of hemorrheology. Now, how many of you say, well, now that another lecture about hemorrheology, they're here, everybody's lecturing about that here in Alaska. It's fascinating. I'm going to make it practical for you, and we'll see natural things you can do to improve your blood fluidity. We'll show you how it helps your mental performance. If you're overweight, it can help you lose weight. If you're an athlete or hope to be an athlete or never wanted to be an athlete but still want to be able to walk better, it will help your physical performance, okay? No, all kinds of amazing things. Decrease your risk of vision loss. That's all tomorrow. It's based on my book called The Methuselah Factor, okay? That's tomorrow night. And then on Saturday night, we're going to especially be talking even more about brain health. We will talk about some amazing things that you can do to help your brain. You're already learning tonight, control your blood pressure. That'll help your brain. Tomorrow night, you'll learn the Methuselah factor. Better blood fluidity will improve your brain, but then we'll kind of put that all together because there's nothing really more important than our brains, right? Doesn't matter how your body is doing if your mind is shot. Forget it, right? Okay. Pressers, E, exercising faith in God. How many of you see similar things on these banners? Now, some of them may use a little bit different terms. Why is this girl here smiling and she has a glass of water? Optimum choice of beverages. You think that's the optimal beverage, water? You guys are right. You're exactly right. Okay, let me tell you what we've got for you. So, like I mentioned, we do have our books here tonight. And if you want more material about what we're speaking about, you can go on Amazon and you can pay full price, $19.95. If you have Prime, you can they'll ship it to you free. If you don't, they'll charge you another $5. But we do have the books on special tonight. They're $15. As long as we have the books there, there's no limit. If you say, listen, I need to do my Christmas shopping early or my Halloween, I want to give something out to the kids at Halloween that won't hurt them. I'm going to give out 30 days to natural blood pressure. That'd be wild, wouldn't it? The kids would just be storming down the doors there. Okay, you say, well, but wait a minute, Dr. DeRose, do you know that this program really works? We do. Shortly after the book came out, we had 3 community books put into practice the things in the book. We had a series of videos that went along with the books, and this is what we found. There were 25 people in these 3 programs who had high blood pressure. Their average blood pressure, systolic, when they started, you can see it there, 157.5. At the end of the program, 30-day program, their blood pressures have come down to what? 140 on average. How many point drop is that? 17-point drop. That's as good as 2 medications. Okay? You can see the diastolic number got even lower. So that's using the principles in the blood pressure book. I told you I work a lot with indigenous populations. One of my good friends, who's a Native American leader, he said, Dr. DeRose, shortly after this book came out, he said, I'm sure this is a great book, but many of my people are never going to read that book. He didn't have to be Native American. He could have been from, Manhattan. Okay? And he could have said, many of the folks here in Manhattan aren't going to read the book. Because a lot of people don't do what anymore? They don't read. So he said, you need to do something else to help my people. So we said, okay, we'll take the book. We'll take many of the high points in the book, and we'll put them into short 6-minute videos, okay? And here it is, called 30 Days to Better Health. Some of you might recognize the physician there. We've got his identity partially concealed by that play button. And if you think that you're going to have to write that website down or take a picture of it, we are being even so kind to you, and we have some special cards for you. Okay? Now, who would like to get some extra exercise tonight? Would help me. Okay, you come right up. I don't think we've had the privilege of meeting. Who are you? We did. Oh, Tina. Oh, no way. You look much older back then. What have you been doing? You've been following my program, huh? Okay, that's good. Good to see you. Good. Okay, you're going to pass out. This lady wants to, and who is this? Linda Downs. Oh, Linda Downs. We've crossed paths, haven't we? Okay. Okay, good to see some of my friends. No, you hold on. No, don't pass them out yet. Wait, we got to give you instructions. Okay? What I want is I do not want anyone to walk out of here not without a card, but without at least 2 cards. Now, while these ladies are passing, you have to accept at least 2 cards from them. Now, why do I want you to have at least 2 cards? Did you catch something on this list? What is the second S on the list? Social support. Do you know one of the things that can dramatically increase your likelihood of success is going through the program with someone else? Do you know what one of the beautiful things about an online video program? You can go through the program with someone else anywhere in the world. Okay? Now the Jimenezes are right here, toward the front. Where are your relatives from? Puerto Rico, okay. Part of the United States. Where are your family from? Colombia, okay, not part of the United States. Impressed with my geography, right? Okay, so Colombia and Puerto Rico. You can go through the program with your family, so long as they understand English or use Google Translate, okay? As you're watching those videos, one video a day for 30 days, they can be watching it. And we encourage you, just keep in touch once a week with someone else going through it. There's whole community groups that are using this program. They're saying, we're going to meet in this venue. We'll meet in this church or this community center or this workplace, and we're going to support each other as we go through the program. But there doesn't have to be any community group. You now have in your hands how many cards? Okay, here's how it works. You scan that QR code, you sign up for the program. You say, Dr. DeRose, I don't know how to do a QR code. I don't even know what a QR code is. Well, ask someone else to help you. That'll be building what? That's right, community, social connections. If you don't want to do that, how many of you noticed? Right up here, I put for you the website, timelesshealinginsights.org/30. Okay, I can see some of you need some help tonight. So let's just give you a break. We're going to give you a mental exercise. If something is not time limited, what is it? Timeless. Okay, we're talking about timeless principles. These help people decades ago. They'll help you today. Timeless. What have we been talking about tonight? What is the theme of all these meetings? Healing. Timeless healing. And what are we going to be giving you in these videos? Insights. Okay? .org. If you lose the cards and you remember timelesshealinginsights.org, just go to the website. We have other free programs too, but go to the free program called 30 Days to Better Health, sign up, and then every day you'll get a link to a short video. How long are the videos? They average. You want to know what they average? Actually, we actually measured it. They average 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay? One might be 4 minutes, another one might be 7, okay? But on average, less than 6 minutes a day. For how many days? 30 days. And every day we're going to challenge you to do something. Do something different. Maybe eat some more green vegetables. That's one day, okay? Maybe get a little bit more exercise. And you're going to choose how you're going to apply that. You say, okay, eat more green vegetables. I had spinach once last year. I'm going to have it twice this year, okay? I will tell you, the first day, though, the challenge is to be bold. And we're going to tell you that if that's all you do is increase your spinach servings by once a year, it's probably not going to make much difference, okay? You get the picture, right? Okay, so free program for you. There's the website. Let's give you some pointers. We're going to take about the next 15 minutes to go through some of these pointers. Then we're going to give you about 20, 25 minutes for questions and answers. And then I'll stick around. You saw it was advertised to run to 8:30. We won't go all the way till 8:30 with my lecturing. We'll let you stay around and talk informally too. Okay? So you got the game plan? About 15 minutes, some of the high points of these 10 areas. Let's talk about nutrition. Do nutrition practices really make any difference? They're huge. They're huge. 3 big ones: increasing your consumption of plant foods. A second one, controlling your calories if you're overweight. And the third one is decreasing your salt intake. Let's talk about the first one first, increasing your plant food consumption. And here's the question: do typical dietary practices make a difference? True story. True story. Some years ago, I was in a grocery store. I'm walking through the grocery store. Dr. DeRose! Dr. DeRose! I see some guy, I don't recognize him. I went to your lecture 6, 8 months ago, and it changed my life. How many of you are saying, now I get it. I was wondering, why would you go all the way from Tennessee to Wasilla? Why would you leave those beautiful 95-degree weather there? Okay? and that 95% humidity. Why would you come up here to Alaska? You say, I understand now, because it just gives you that encouragement that you're helping people, changing lives, like that guy who listened to your lecture. I bet you felt really proud, Dr. DeRose. No, I didn't feel proud at all, because the next words out of his mouth were these. But it had absolutely nothing to do with anything that you said. I'm like, what kind of a crazy guy is this? He came to my lecture, it changed his life, and it had nothing to do with anything that I said. But fortunately, I kept my mouth shut, just kept listening. He said it was that one graphic, that one slide that you showed. One slide changed his whole life. How many of you would like to see that slide? Okay. It's in chapter 5 of the book. Pick it up tonight. You read that chapter and you'll see that slide. And I'm not going to tell you which one it was. You say, oh, come on, Dr. DeRose. You're just trying to sell your book. Okay. I'll show you the slide. And you can even take a picture of it. Just don't tell my wife. Where is she? Oh, she's good. She's down. Sonia is the business manager. And so, yeah, it's smart. I think she's busy doing she's also a physician. I think she's maybe going to take care of some physician tasks out there. So don't tell her that I told you this, but just take a picture of this, because you don't have to buy the book, and changed his whole life. You really want to see this? Okay, let's show it to you. Okay, this is a study of nearly 90,000 people. 90,000 people. And, yeah, it is a lot of people. They're from a group called Seventh-day Adventists. Have any of you heard of Seventh-day Adventists? Yeah, they're known worldwide for their healthy lifestyle habits. But Seventh-day Adventists don't require people to conform to a whole list of things. So there's quite a variety of practices among Adventists. There are some Adventists in the blue bars that live much like anybody else. And you can see they have rates of diabetes and high blood pressure, much like anybody else. But let's say I walked up to you, and I said to you, tell me about your diet. If you said to me, Dr. DeRose, I am essentially a vegetarian. When someone tells me that, they are usually what these researchers called semi-vegetarians. That means they're eating red meat, poultry, and fish less than once a week. Did it lessen their likelihood of having diabetes and high blood pressure? It did substantially. Down about what? Anywhere from 30, 40%. If they then got rid of all of their poultry and red meat, and they became what the researchers called pesco-vegetarians. That means they're eating fish, fruits, vegetables, all kinds of plant foods, dairy, eggs, all included on that pesco-vegetarian diet. Were they better than the semi-vegetarians? They were. They're down now approaching, 40, 50% the likelihood of having diabetes and high blood pressure. But what really got interesting is then they looked at those who got rid of the fish. And now they are what they called lacto-ovo-vegetarians. So they're eating lots of plant products. They're also eating dairy and eggs. And how likely were they to have diabetes and high blood pressure? I mean, this is starting to get really remarkable. They've only got, like 1/4 to 1/3 the likelihood of having diabetes and high blood pressure as the other folks, the blue bars that were just eating like everybody else. But what really was shocking is when they looked at the group that they called the vegans. They were just eating whole plant products, okay, plant foods. That's all they were eating. They weren't eating any animal products. Did they fare better when it came to blood pressure and diabetes? Amazing. Look at this. What are we looking at? 10, 20%? I mean, this is amazing. In other words, if you compare the vegans with the average eating folks had like 5 or more times the likelihood of having diabetes and high blood pressure. So how many of you could see why that one person said this graphic changed his life? What do you think he did? He took the lesson from it. He changed how he was eating. He said, Dr. Rose, I'm never becoming a vegan. That's not the message of the graphic. Here, Dr. Barnard and Dr. Burko, they looked at all the research 80 studies. And they said, here's what they all show. That's the medicalese up there. I'll tell you in plain English. They said, substitute some of the animal products you're eating for plant products, and your blood pressure will go down. The more you do it, the more your blood pressure goes down. Okay? How many of you think that doesn't sound all that complicated? Others of you know the reality. I know the reality because I wasn't raised a vegetarian. I mean, it's pretty hard to change your lifestyle, isn't it? That's very hard. But let me tell you some good news. Now, I'm not going to have in this series of lectures here in Wasilla a chance to spend an hour or so on this topic. But I will be addressing it at Eagle River. Is that the right place? And that is Sunday at 3 o'clock. The first presentation I'm going to give there is called Changing Bad Habits for Good. It is a life-changing lecture. Well, just like any of my lectures could be, right? If you listen and make life changes. Changing Bad Habits for Good. One of the key messages in that lecture is we all have the ability to develop new enjoyments. Research is very clear on this. If you change your lifestyle, you can... I mean, come on, help me out tonight. How many of you can think of something, something healthy, that at first you didn't like, but you started eating it or doing it, and now you enjoy it? Can anyone give me an example? In the back. Tomatoes. So you at one time did not like tomatoes. Do you like them now? What changed? Okay. And you started eating more of it, and you developed an enjoyment for it. Amazing example. Anyone else with an example? You in back, please. Water. So you didn't like water originally? And what happened? Isn't that amazing, isn't it? This could happen. By the way, it works with bad habits too. I've helped many people stop smoking. You know what virtually every smoker tells me? That they didn't like their first cigarette. I said, well, you didn't like the cigarette. Why did you keep smoking it? And they said, well, all my friends were doing it. Okay? And what happens then after a while? They got addicted, and they develop an enjoyment for it, okay? So at first, they were coughing. They might have vomited. But they stuck with it. We're created to develop, and it doesn't have to have something addictive with it, okay? So we'll spend a whole hour talking about how you can develop new enjoyment. So it's really an amazing lecture. I wish they had, booked me for 6 hours in Wasilla, but, we gotta be as efficient as we can. So we'll have that special lecture. Where? Eagle River. And where is it in Eagle River? These Seventh-day Adventists here, they're really onto something, okay? They're really trying to help their community. Okay, so don't look at this and say, well, I could never do that. I mean, this was terrible. I probably should tell you this. I had a guy who walked into my medical office once, taking some of the highest doses of narcotics that I ever seen. And he's expecting that I was going to give him prescriptions for all this stuff. I said, I can't give you all. I said, I can help you get off. And he goes, oh, doctor, I don't really want, I'll do anything to get off these medications, anything. I don't really want to be on them. And so we're going through all this stuff. And finally, toward the end of the visit, I said, there's another thing that you could do that would help your pain. And I said, you could eat more plant products. No way! I cannot. No, I'm not changing my diet. Okay, don't be like that, please. Okay, why are plant foods so powerful? We could go through all kinds of reasons. There's a number of reasons in the book, but I'm just going to hasten on to one of them. Not only are the plant foods the champions when it comes to magnesium, potassium, and yes, even calcium, if you look at calcium per calorie, the top calcium sources are all plant foods. It's not dairy, okay? But let's go on to phytochemicals. How many of you have heard of phytochemicals? Yes. These are compounds in plants, health-giving compounds. Amazing. We'll talk more about it tomorrow night, I'll tell you the amazing story of Santo Puleo. Don't let me forget. Remember that name. Amazing story. Santo Puleo. Some of you are smiling. You know who he is. But I will tell you about his story about phytochemicals. That's tomorrow night when we speak about the Methuselah factor. But tonight we have to talk with you about the one thing that I know all of you are just sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to see, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Admit it. How many of you knew that this would not be a complete lecture without seeing this slide? I see a few of you raising your hands. Okay. Now you say, Dr. DeRose, I can't even read that slide. I knew you'd never been to speaking classes because they would tell you never put a slide up like that. That's just the reason I put it up. Because this system is so complex. They give whole lectures and lecture after lecture on it in the medical class. You got it? Why do I have it up here? Multiple hormones in this system. All of them affect your blood pressure. One of the key compounds in these pathways is right in the center of the graph. If you brought your binoculars, you can read it. It says ACE. And ACE stands for the angiotensin-converting enzyme. If you or someone you love is on a blood pressure medication, there's a very good chance they are on an ACE inhibitor. ACE inhibitors, their generic names all end in pril. There you go. Lisinopril is one of them. Can you think of any others? Okay. Ramipril, I heard. And Alapril, yes. Captopril, okay? So we have a number of health professionals here helping us out, but that's right. If it ends in pril, it is an ACE inhibitor. Now, here's the amazing thing. Now, I don't want any of you, just make sure you're holding on to your chair, because this is astounding. I don't want anyone to pass out, is what I'm saying, okay? When I saw this, I was amazed. These ACE inhibitory compounds are not just made by drug manufacturers. Someone else was involved with the production of ACE inhibitors long before there was ever a pharmaceutical industry, because they are all in many naturally occurring plants. Did you know that broccoli has naturally occurring ACE inhibitors? Amazing. Mung beans. So I'm going to tell you a true story. There are some really good people in your community that have been taking care of my wife and me since we arrived in Alaska. And you know what they fed us? They fed us soybeans and buckwheat. They have fed us potatoes and wheat. Do you see some on there? Yeah. Do you know what they've been doing for us? They've been helping us keep our blood pressure down. Now, if you have lisinopril, blood pressure medication, ACE inhibitor, and you have a bad memory, true or false? It could happen. You get up in the morning, you take your lisinopril, you just got them in the bottle, you don't have one of those pill, caddies or whatever they call them, okay? And you take your lisinopril when you get up in the morning, and then an hour later you say, that's right, did I take that? And you take another one, okay? And then you're looking, it's a pretty full few hours later, did I take the lisinopril? Is it possible that you could take too much lisinopril? It is. And what could happen to you? You could pass out, you could end up in the hospital. You want to hear the good news? No one has ever dropped their blood pressure significantly to pass out by eating too much broccoli or peanuts. Okay, you getting the picture? Okay? So the Creator has put these natural compounds into plant foods that help to control your blood pressure. It's amazing. I'm glad you all didn't pass out tonight. That's really good. Okay. I told you there's other key nutrition principles, but what we're going to do is we're going to hasten on. And we are going to talk to you about a few other things, and then we're going to take your questions. I am just going to go right to this slide here again. You've seen it before. Now what? You're going to miss, some of you are not going to be able to make it Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to show you this slide. This is an amazing slide. Classic study on sodium. The researchers said, let's cut the sodium of these people in half. And that's what they did. They put them on a very strict regimen. Their sodium was cut in half. So at the beginning of the study, they liked their soup 0.7% sodium. You can see it there. That's pretty salty. May not sound like that much. That's pretty salty. So the next week, look at that, the next week, they're being served foods that have half as much salt as they're used to. So the soups that they're eating at home, instead of being 0.7, they're like 0.35. Have their tastes gone down? Do they enjoy that low-salt soup after a week? They don't. They've only gone, they still like things about 0.6. Do you see? What this graph is showing you, whether the speaker up front is explaining it very well or not, is it took them fully 13 weeks before they developed a full enjoyment. They enjoyed the low-salt soup just as much as they used to enjoy the high-salt soup. But it took them how long? 13 weeks. Okay? So some habits can change more quickly. But in the research on salt, it actually is a process. What do you need to do? You need to stick with the low-salt eating. Don't say, oh, this is terrible. I tried to, one day I tried to not smother my corn and my potatoes with salt, and it was disgusting. I couldn't eat it. I said, I'm going to either die in a few days from starvation, or I'll die maybe early because I have high blood pressure. Well, that's not the equation. Just stick with the low-salt eating, and you'll develop new enjoyments. 13 weeks in the research, okay? Okay. Here's our list. I want to tell you a couple things, and then we'll take your questions. Let me talk about this environment, okay? I noticed that a lot of you, here in Alaska, there's not quite as much traffic, it seems, as in the city where I grew up, Chicago, okay? And here's what we know about the environment. This is an interesting one. Noise is a significant contributor to blood pressure, especially the amount of noise in your bedroom. Here's what they found. They found if you live near a busy street, your blood pressure will be higher than if you live out in the country. You say, but Dr. DeRose, I got a reverse mortgage, and I'm right by that busiest road in Anchorage. Okay? Well, here's what you can do. Researchers have shown this. Move your bedroom from the side of the house by the busy road to the other side of the house, and your blood pressure will go down. You say, but Dr. DeRose, I'm in an apartment on that busiest street in Anchorage. Well, what could you do? What? Yes, you could use sound panels, you could use earplugs. That ambient noise raises blood pressure. Amazing. There's amazing things for all of these things. We walk you through many of them in the free 30-day program. There's a lot more in the book. By the way, who's good in math? No one wants to volunteer? I'm going to give you a math question anyway. If you go through the 30-day program, what is the average length of each video? Yeah, we'll round it up to 6 minutes, okay? 30 videos, 6 minutes each. How much total time is that? 180 minutes. What is that? 3 hours. Okay, let me tell you what I've got here. So we do have these for sale. This is the audio version of the blood pressure book. I read through the entire book. It's on CDs. You say, who uses CDs today? Plenty of people. You got those old cars, right? That have those CD players, and you can't use them for anything. Now you've got something, okay? So we've got these. If you say, hey, listen, Dr. DeRose, I'm into the high-tech stuff. I got a phone somewhere. Can't keep track of it, just like you, Dr. DeRose. And yeah, I've got my Audible app on here. Do you know what Audible is? That's the audiobook platform of Amazon. You can get my book on there, okay? But if you want to use the lower tech, you know, if the internet's out, you still got gas in your car, you know, if the power's out, think about it. The power's out. You don't have a generator, but you got gas in your car. What can you do? You can survive in your car, and you can listen for 30 days to natural blood pressure control. Okay, you say, Dr. DeRose, please don't let the power go out. Okay, so anyway, so we have the book. How long do you think it took me to read through the book? I mean, I'm not talking about the production time. I'm talking about the actual audio content. If you sat down and you listened to this book from, quote, cover to cover, how long would it take? 12 hours, okay? The point I'm making is there's a lot more in the book than in the free videos. You see that? Okay? So if you want the full material, get the book or the audio book. We have those there for you. And like I said, if we spent tonight going through as much detail as is in the book, what would happen? That's right. That's very good. You're good at math. In fact, all of you likely would either get the benefit of my lecture, or you get the benefit of exercise because you'd walk out, or you get the benefit of rest because you'd fall asleep, right? Okay? But no one's going to stay here for 12 hours, okay? So let me just tell you two other things before we take your questions. My wife is very generous, and one of my patients said, Dr. DeRose, you got to give more visibility to your book, Evading Ebola. So we came out with this book some years ago when Ebola was first becoming a concern here in the U.S. It's even a bigger concern today in Africa, really surging rates of Ebola. This talks about natural things to improve your immune system. My wife, I said she's the business manager, she is willing to give you this book free if you buy any 2 resources, okay? She said she'll even give you, if you don't want to buy any other resources and you just want this book, she'll give you a special deal on it. So you talk with her about that. So we have that for you. And then the other featured resource we have on special tonight is the Methuselah Factor. So if you can't come tomorrow, or if you are planning to come tomorrow and want a book to take notes in, this will help you, okay? I will tell you a secret that I don't always tell groups, but the Methuselah Factor, first 13 chapters or so, put into lay terms why improving your microcirculation is important, okay? The last 30 chapters, 1 chapter a day, it's a 30-day program. How many of you have heard me talk about a 30-day program before? These chapters pretty much go along with the free videos, okay? So this book helps complement the free video program as well. Is my good friend in the back there. Tyler's one of my good friends. My other good friend is Rupa. Do you know that guy back there? Do you know Abe? How do you know him? You're married to him. Abe, could I get you to come up because I think some people have a question. You know, they say, Dr. DeRose has been hyping all his stuff and telling about how great his programs are. Do we have a mic for Abe? Can he speak from this pulpit mic up here? They got a handheld mic. Okay, now, I had never, to my knowledge, if I'd heard of Abe, I didn't remember it. I met him for the first time tonight. And Abe, I was told that you had heard about the free 30-day program. Did you hear about this program that we've been promoting tonight?
I didn't really hear about this program, but we met Carol, and I was telling Carol that my health was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gone and seen my primary care physician, and I told my primary care physician that I would do anything to improve my health. And she basically put me on all kinds of meds, you know, and I didn't want to take any of them. So I got the meds, and actually I kind of hid them from Rupa. And I didn't end up taking any of the meds.
Well, what were they treating you for?
They were treating me for, well, they put me on metformin, and there was a statin. I don't remember what the statin was.
So like cholesterol?
Like a cholesterol, high cholesterol.
And you had diabetes or just?
Yes, yeah, diabetes.
And your blood pressure was great, though?
My blood pressure, I think, was high. No? Was it high? Oh, it was high. Okay.
Okay, okay. But you were trim like you are now, is that right?
I was a little heavier back then.
5 pounds heavier?
Maybe about 30 pounds heavier.
Okay, so quite a bit heavier.
Yeah, quite a bit heavier.
Okay. So you meet this Carol? Is this how it goes?
Yes, yeah. Actually, Carol and Kevin came by. They were new to this church, and we met them at Adrian's home, and we got to talking, and I don't know, the topic of health came up, and I think I mentioned that, I was really desperate to lose some weight and do it naturally instead of taking pills.
Okay.
And so that's when Carol decided to help me.
Okay. So what did she have you do?
She had me start by taking measurements of my blood pressure, and I got a glucose monitor, so I kept, I pricked my finger once a day, and I was writing it down.
Okay, now just if anyone's not following along, the first 2 days of the online program, that's what we encourage you to do. Take measurements, okay? So did you ever see any of these videos that we're talking about?
No.
Okay, so you never saw any of the videos, but you're going through the principles, just
Yes.
like you would going through the program.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. So you're monitoring all this stuff, and then where do you go from there?
So I started changing my diet. I started eating less fats, less oil, less butter, less salt. Started eating more beans.
No, wait a minute. Now, so in the first week of the 30-day program, we're encouraging people to eat more beans, but you didn't watch those videos.
Oh, maybe I did. Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah.
Oh,
Once Carol introduced
Oh,
me
you
to
did.
the program.
Well,
Yes,
I was trying to figure out how you were following this program so well, and you'd never even seen it.
No.
Okay.
I mean, once I met Carol.
I got it.
Carol
Okay.
told me about the. Yeah, my life changed.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're going through the 30-day program.
Yes.
That we're talking
Yes,
about
yeah,
tonight.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And you go through this program, you make these changes, and what happened? We already gathered you lost 30 pounds, is that true?
I lost around 30 pounds, which was impossible for me to change. I mean, my wife's here. I've tried all kinds of things. I mean, I've tried eating salads. I've tried, just about everything you can think of, and nothing worked.
Okay. And what else happened? Did your blood sugar get any better?
My blood sugar got better. I had an A1C of 7.8, and that came down. I think the last was 6.0.
Okay. So from diabetes to non-diabetic?
Pre-diabetic.
Yeah, pre-diabetic.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all of that without any medication.
Tremendous. Tremendous.
And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
So
And did your cholesterol come down too?
my cholesterol came to normal.
Wonderful.
Both LDL and HDL came to normal.
Okay.
And my healthcare provider was shocked too.
Now, let me tell you, just be honest with the whole group. Was there a downside? I mean, did you have some stock in those pharmaceutical companies? And
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
okay. Okay. Do you want to share anything else with the group? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you all know what CPAP is? So it's when someone has obstructive sleep apnea, they wear this device at night so that they don't stop breathing. So you were having to wear that to
Yes.
get adequate sleep,
Yes.
quality
Right.
sleep.
Yeah.
And maybe she should have the mic too.
Yeah.
Come on up with us. Come on, Rupa.
Because I think that prior to him actually getting any help when he was overweight, one of the things that would always concern me at night was him not sleeping enough, because I could hear him like obstruct. Me being in the medical field, I would actually wake him up, because I was like, what if he just like doesn't wake up? And so I ended up having him go get a sleep study and ended up getting a CPAP machine. But what we significantly found was as soon as he started losing his weight and he was able to be consistent with his exercise and with his eating pattern and drinking a lot more, he slowly was able to get off the CPAP. And even today, he doesn't wear his CPAP. And guess what? I actually sleep really well because I don't hear the whoosh whoosh sound from the CPAP machine. Yes, so it's actually it's a miracle.
Okay,
Yes.
tremendous.
So I think when we talk about these the principles in the book, I think one key thing is consistency. And I think that it's really hard for the first few weeks, and I think that was very obvious with him, because just like how Nafisa said, she didn't like to drink water, he never drank water. That was an absolute, like we are like north and south. I drink water all day long, he doesn't drink water at all. And so when he started drinking water, and I think the little bit of consistency that just kept him going and going, now he's like, oh, if I don't drink water, I feel bad. And the other thing that I found very interesting was he was a man that never sweat. How many of you sweat a little bit when you go out or do any form of exercise? Not sweating. Yes, everyone. I mean, you can go for a hike and you can hike up. This guy would not sweat. No, and I'm not joking. He actually pulled out his phone and he said, I think I have a condition. I was like, I've never heard of this condition, but okay, great. I'm happy you figured something out. But now, after he's lost this weight and he's been drinking water, guess what? His sweat glands work. And he does have sweat glands, and he's so proud of himself now. Yeah. Yes, it's actually really impressive. He comes and he says, guess what? I actually sweat. And I'm like, yes, it's the little things.
Okay. So, yeah, let's give a hand to Abe here. Before you leave, Abe, this is the question and answer session. Since we had you come up, we're going to take about 10, 15 minutes for questions and answers. Do you have any questions for Abe before I let him sit down?
Did the coaching, was that a helpful thing for you for actually starting to learn to drink water? So yeah, I would actually send little messages to him every day, asking him, have you drank your water? How much have you drunk today? Or exercise, so forth.
Yes, that was very helpful to me. I just need to continue doing what I was doing. Because actually what happened this summer was my daughter got married, and I kind of got off the program, and I need to get back on the program again.
So what you're hearing there is social connectedness, social support.
Yes,
Now, Carol,
absolutely.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but since we're asking questions, you mentioned this coaching. Now, I've heard rumors about you being actually a certified coach. Is that something if there were a few others in the room who wanted some help, or do you have flexibility to do that, or are you all booked up?
No, yeah, if there is anyone that would like to have some help with just encourage some of that social support, so I'm available to do that. I'm a registered nurse, board certified health coach, nurse health coach. And yeah, I do work full time at the Alaska Heart and Vascular Institute, but I have time to, on my time off, definitely to be able to help coach and to provide that social
Well, I'm
support.
getting excited. The only disappointment I'm having now is that we don't live in Wasilla, Sonia. We can? Okay.
But
Yeah, you got all these great resources here. Okay, Rupa?
I was just going to add to coach thing. I think that a lot of time we think that, if it's a spouse, we can hold each other accountable. It really is hard. And I think that after trying it for so many years, I think as soon as Carol came, who was completely new to him, I think that made such a huge impact. And so I think that when somebody is struggling, it's always good to have somebody that's not biased, that's not in your immediate circle. Not bossy.
Okay.
No, disregard that.
Okay, any other questions for Abe? Okay, then Abe, thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we're going to take like 15 minutes for your questions, and we'll let you out about 10 minutes early. So who's got a question about, especially about high blood pressure, any of these other areas that we didn't talk about? So Tina has a question here. Make sure you get the mic so everyone can benefit from your question.
I had gone in, let me back up a little bit, reflux disease, and just some challenges. And so I was sent over to internal medicine doctor, and there was and this is really interesting that I learned, the questionnaire that I filled out, and so he then talked with me about my answers, and he says, have you ever been diagnosed with sleep apnea? I said, say what? Didn't know what it was, and so he explained what it was, and at that time I was on lisinopril for high blood pressure, and so we went through the sleep study, and he didn't do anything for my hiatal hernia. Yeah. But did find out that I needed to have a CPAP, and so within a month my blood pressure dropped down. I went off of lisinopril. I'm still off of lisinopril, and this has been 4 years now. May of this year, I stopped using my CPAP because I rearranged my furniture and I forgot to plug it back in, and so I've been doing fine. So I thought. So now the question is, and I'm on the lowest amount of whatever. He says that as I age, that it will get worse. I'm not believing that. So the question is this, with implementing, and I can do better, and I think everyone in this room would probably say, not for me, but I think all of us can do better. So by not continuing with the CPAP, which is so wonderful because I don't have the big marks around here, and I'm constantly adjusting the thing at night, and my husband kicked me out of bed, but I kicked him back.
Okay.
So the question is, implementing this, what are the chances, based on what you've already shown us, that I can truly kick the CPAP? And I'm not putting you on the spot as
Sure.
a doctor.
Well, let's talk about a couple of things. So first of all, we didn't really talk about rest much. We'll talk more about it perhaps as we go through this series. But you either get enough sleep each night, or the next day you will not function adequately unless your body ramps up your stress hormone levels. Some people can do it naturally, okay? Many other people resort to something to raise their stress hormone levels. Isn't that crazy? What would anyone take to raise their stress hormone levels? Caffeine. Yeah, one of the ways that caffeine works is it raises stress hormones. Well, why do people take caffeine in the morning? To wake up, okay? So if you're not getting quality sleep, then in the morning you take the caffeine. Well, the caffeine blocks something called adenosine. We'll talk more about it tomorrow night because adenosine is involved with healthy blood circulations. We'll talk about it. But when you take that, then that caffeine, then it ramps up your blood pressure and it ramps up your blood sugar, okay? It can contribute to weight gain because it's raising cortisol levels, okay? So the point is, yes, one known cause of elevated blood pressure is sleep apnea. That's why treating sleep apnea can help lower your blood pressure, as you found. You already heard from Abe. Some people, by changing their lifestyle, can correct their sleep apnea. Now, sleep apnea has a variety of causes, okay? Some of them are reversible, others are not. Doctor who examines you can have some insight into it, but we're not always right. So my point is, if you're wondering if something could be improved with lifestyle, you know what the best thing to do? Improve your lifestyle and see what happens, okay? Yeah, that's what I would say. What other questions have we got tonight? You're welcome. Any other questions this evening? Okay, we have one right up here. Wait for the mic, please. We all want to hear.
I have multiple but my blood pressure was down to 70, and the emergency guy just thought, well, he didn't need to send me home. I thought I should go to the ER because it seemed pretty low to me.
Okay, so your upper number was 70.
Yeah, I don't know what the
okay.
other one was.
Okay.
But 70 seems really
Yeah.
bad, and it's kept happening for months and months.
Okay. Are you on blood pressure medication?
No,
Are you on any medication?
clopidogrel, I had too many strokes,
Okay. Is that the only thing that you're on?
and lactose,
Okay. Anything else?
just vitamins and things and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay, so lactulose is a sweet tasting compound. Does it taste sweet to you?
Yeah, but my doctor said it's such a big molecule that it doesn't get digested or doesn't
Yeah,
do
so
anything.
yeah, so what happens is, so the lactulose pulls water with it, okay? And so sometimes we use it, but it also binds up nitrogen. So we sometimes use it in people that have higher nitrogen levels, like people with liver failure. It's more commonly used like a laxative, okay?
Yeah.
And so here's the deal. If you're taking any kind of a laxative, whether it's a lactulose or a Miralax, these osmotic, or a magnesium, milk of magnesia, these things pull water with them. They can contribute to dehydration, even if you're drinking quite a bit of water, okay? So if you're dehydrated, if you don't have enough fluid, then what do you think can happen to your blood pressure? Yeah, if you're prone to lower blood pressure, your blood pressure can go lower, okay? So the thing is, first thing we always say is, if you're having issues, is there something that may be contributing? So I would always say, someone's taking an osmotic laxative, like a lactulose or a Miralax or a magnesium-containing laxative, then make sure you're keeping well hydrated. You say, well, how do I know? If you're really well hydrated, one indicator is the color of your urine. If the urine is clear like the water you're drinking, generally you're well hydrated. If it's the deeper the yellow color, the greater the indication that you're not well hydrated. So that's definitely one thing that a person can address to begin with, okay? You're welcome. What about other questions tonight? So when am I moving here? Well, let me tell you first the really good news. And that is, if you have a really difficult question, I love to say this, and my wife is very happy when she travels with me. They say if you have a really difficult question, don't ask it during the question and answer session. I see a lot of you have been reluctant. You know that if you have a really difficult question, you want to ask the other Dr. DeRose. Dr. Sonia DeRose is back there. She answers all the really difficult questions, and I take the easy ones. So you are all adequately prepped, so thank you for keeping the easy questions for me. Sonia will be in back, and she'll be happy to. By the way, just, some people ask me, am I willing to autograph the books? Yes, of course I am. But what's even more special is Sonia is willing to autograph the books too tonight. And she doesn't always travel with me. So if you really want something valuable, don't worry about my signature. Get Sonia's signature on one of the resources. Okay? We just have a couple of minutes. We got one last question, or else I'll know what the last question is. If no one raises their hand, the last question is, can we leave now? Okay, but there is one left. Okay.
I've been diagnosed with diabetes, but I have no high blood pressure at all.
Okay.
My blood pressure is normal. So I do drink lots of water. I have most of my life. And maybe that's a contributor to that.
Well, the water, water definitely is going to help keep the blood pressure down. You can keep well hydrated. Water also helps you get rid of excess sodium. So you're drinking adequate water. That helps with your sodium balance.
I was diagnosed one time with low sodium.
Yes, if you
So maybe I just don't really eat salty things. I don't really like salty things.
okay, no.
So
yeah.
the doctor said that I should have more salt. I'm a contradiction.
Well, let me say this, just to get at the essence of your question. The 30 Days to Better Health program is, especially based on the blood pressure book, but we expanded it to also cover diabetes especially. So those two conditions are both focused on in the 30 Days to Better Health. So I'd encourage you, go through that program as well. It's likely to help you. Okay, that was the last question. If you have other questions, I'm going to be in back at the resource table. I'll take your questions individually. We'll have more time for Q&A tomorrow night. Before we finish, either Rupa or Carol has some final remarks, and like I said, I'll be happy to see you in back.
For sharing this wonderful testimony here tonight about high blood pressure. And yeah, so please come tomorrow night to hear another special lecture and a talk. Did everybody enjoy tonight? Yeah, I really enjoyed Dr. DeRose's lecture too. Very good things to learn and know. Okay, so I wonder if it would be okay if Chaplain Dahl could give us or no, I should ask the pastors here. Okay, okay. If he could give us a closing prayer and ask God to be with us all as we go home again.
This is my wonderful wife, Carol, here, so she still calls me chaplain. Let's pray. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the blessing that we have today, getting together and really making this a social effort and wonderful church with a wonderful community here in Westcilla. And help us to be looking at different ways and helping each other physically, spiritually, emotionally. This is very important for all of us here. Lifting each other up in prayer, lifting each other up in practical exercise like health. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Bless us tonight as we return back home, and again when we return in the evening tomorrow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.